And we are now live. Hey everybody, how's it going? This is the first SnusCENTRAL.org live chat. We're with a bunch of awesome people here today. Hope you guys chime in down in the comment section over and let us know how you guys are liking this so far and if you have any questions. So our panel today...
Are you sure we're live, Matt? I'm not seeing it.
Not seeing live at all? It says
No.
we're live. It says we're good.
I see live. We're live.
It says we're live, yeah.
I see live.
There we are.
Lucky me.
Either that or we're Memorex.
Anyway, so we have an awesome panel here. We have Chad Jones from Snoopy.com. We have we have Larry Waters and myself, Matt Campbell from SnusCENTRAL.org. We have James Martin from Inside Vaping, and we have the famous Connie Anderson. You guys know him from.
I'm getting feedback.
Yep, we got feedback. So
You might have to mute your stream there, Larry.
Yep. And let us know how you guys are liking this so far. Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, just turn down the volume on the YouTube video.
Are you sure we're live, Matt? I'm not seeing it.
Not seeing live at all? It says we're live. It says we're good.
I see live. We're live.
This is the first run, so just bear with it.
That or we're Memorex.
Anyway.
Larry, you can just close that YouTube page window if you
We have
want,
Chad
or
Jones
that
from
tab.
I'm getting feedback.
We have Larry Waters and myself,
Hold on.
Matt Campbell from SnusCENTRAL.org. We have James Martin from Inside Vaping.
I'm going to mute Larry temporarily.
Okay.
Although I know everybody likes bonus broadcasts. Otherwise, they'll hear it twice. Hey, this is what happens with live shows, man.
Yeah.
Just expect the unexpected.
Alrighty. So I'm having somebody saying they only have Connie on the live end here. So.
Yeah, that's all we.
What about-
You see Connie in the big box, and then all of us down there at the bottom.
Okay.
No.
Working the kinks out here. So how do I automatically have this switch over, James?
You should be able to click on the little drop down next to Connie
Okay.
and toggle it. Actually, I think you just need to click on his camera to release it. Click on his little window there, and it should release it.
There we go. Sorry about that. Like I said, working out the kinks. So what's everybody snoozing on tonight?
Who do you want to start?
Let's. It don't matter. How about you, James? What are you snoozing on, man?
I have way too many cans in front of me and open, and I'm bad about this. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but when new snus comes out, I try to be good and just open one or two cans, but doggone, man. I know this stuff is going to dry out before I can get to all of it. I've got Siberia, which, of course, Larry is intimately familiar with. I know this is one of his new favorites. Extremely high nicotine in this guy. I can't take it on an empty stomach, but I've got that one. I also have some of Matt's favorite here. I got some Scroof.
Heck yeah.
Can't ever go without some of the Interal Onyx, which I'm rocking this in the carbon fiber can, which Mick Helwig kindly gifted me. A lot of things. So that's all I'm going to talk about for now.
Okay. Larry, I think you're still muted there. Are you on now?
Unmute him here. I think he's good now.
Okay. Chad, what are you snoozing, man?
Right now, I have one of Connie's favorites. I have Americana. And then I'm going to switch to G3 after I finish this delicious portion of Americanness.
And we'll get to Larry here in a second. I think he's still muted. Larry, you there, man?
I think Chad just muted him now.
How did I do that?
this is the pick on Larry day, I guess.
Somebody's going to have to undo what I just did because I don't know what I did.
Hit the drop-down box next to Larry's name and unmute him. Chad, I think you have to do it.
I can't. It's gray.
Okay, Larry, you might have to unmute yourself.
You can't hear anything he said.
Oh. Oh.
Anyway, I'm using Scroof right now. I'm rotating between Scroof Original Portion, which is one of my all-time favorites. A lot of people give me flack for that. Thunder Raspberry, I did a review on that, and still in love with this stuff. It's one of my all-day drivers. If I want something to change up, do a sweet flavor. I got some General Onyx in my General waterproof can. Pretty cool can. You guys will see it later on the channel. And then some Scroof Polar Stark, in case I want a little bit more of a kick, other than the Thunder Raspberry. It's pretty good stuff there. And Connie, what is your all-time favorite snus? Can you say?
My all-time. I was snoozing a General White Portion for 10 years. That's. I still like General. I do. I like the bergamot flavor in General. I do. My first snus was Grov. Blues. And of course, I from time to time buy a can of Grov Lös. But of course, you snooze your own stuff that you make. But I have to test other stuff as well. I'm not fond of the sweet flavors coming out too much, I think, right now, and I'm not really a big fan of high nicotine stuff either. I always have 2 portion in, always, but quite often the strong portions, the strong flavor snus, or the strong nicotine, high nicotine snus, they power up the flavors into it as well, so they forgot the tobacco flavor, and that's I feel a little bit ashamed, because a lot of the high nicotine have far too much flavor into them. I think that's my opinion about it. If I can do a snus with a lot of nicotine and good tobacco flavor, I would maybe snus that, but I'm not. I'm okay. I need my nicotine, but I don't need the kick. I'm not hunting the kick.
Right.
I'm more for the flavors.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. So I sleep with my snus. I do.
Yep.
My pillow look like shit, but I need it. Otherwise, I can't sleep. So, but the kick, the kick you had when you were 13, or 10. I don't looking for it. I don't hunting for the kick. Actually, I don't. The Siberia stuff. That's good and it's funny thing, and I think they will sell quite a lot of it. I'm pretty sure of that, and I know it's a lot of people looking for the kick. I do, but I don't think I will do this snus. This kind of snus. It's not. I'm more to looking for new tobacco flavors and work more with old-fashioned tobaccos and new ones. But I can understand it. But in Sweden, the people don't look. The younger generation are looking for nicotine snus, but not for. I think the people looking more for the flavors actually.
And I think we got Larry on. Larry, can you hear us now?
Larry, can you hear us? I think he's trying
Larry.
to plug in his headphones.
Oh, there I am.
So,
All right, Larry's
Larry,
voice.
what are you snoozing today, man?
I don't know. Maybe he can't hear us.
No, I can hear you. I don't want to interrupt Connie.
No. It's your turn, my friend.
Yeah, I'm. My headphone cord came out. That's why. Can you hear me?
Yep, we got.
We hear you. Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I think Larry's probably listening to the live stream, which has a delay.
Yeah.
So Larry, probably mute the actual YouTube broadcast and just pay attention to the Hangout, and then you won't have that feedback.
No, I can hear you. Where should I be? On Hangout or?
Yeah, on Hangout, but make sure that whatever window you have open with the YouTube video is muted. So the slider next to the play button on the YouTube video, make sure that's all the way down.
Adam says he's trying to join in, but every time he comes in, he's the only one in the chat, or the only one in the video stream.
All right. Well, I turned off the YouTube, and I'm just on Hangouts because it wasn't working.
That's perfect.
Yep.
Then you're good.
Yep.
So I'm going to have to catch up on everything everybody said on the replay up until this point.
Well, what Connie was saying was that he's developing a long cut rum snus.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, Shades of Carduce 2009.
He said the release date, and you missed it. Sorry.
Larry, Melgrens want to make that. Yes. I have a blend for them, and my all-time favorite snus was the Carduce with the Guatemala tobacco and the Zacapa rum.
2009.
Yeah.
That was my
It's
favorite.
the best snus I ever made. That's for sure.
And you promised me 3 boxes of it over the last 5 years extra. You lied to me.
I haven't got any.
Yeah, you snoozed it all before you could send me the box.
I know. No, it was the best snus I've ever made. Rum and tobacco is the perfect blend. It's the perfect match. That's for sure.
So are we talking 2016 releases on these?
Yeah.
First half of 2016?
I believe so. But rum and use. Okay, I was telling the guys before that I will never make a fruity, sweet snus, but the rum has the sweetness into it.
Yes.
But a lot of chocolate flavor and the flavors you have in the tobacco already. So it's so sweet to blend great tobacco with rum. Is the best match, that's for sure.
I can't wait. I am wearing my release hat for you.
I'm honored.
Do you know what? I'm here in my bedroom, and do you know what I use to throw away my snooze portions that I keep by my bed? You ever seen one of these before?
No.
In the border shops, this was how they sold Lucky Strike. You would get 5-can rolls in this little tin thing, and back whenever I bought this, it was like for the 5 cans, it was maybe $15 US.
Ah. Wow.
But that was like 6 years ago. It's not around anymore.
So,
yeah,
Connie,
I have a habit of hoarding. If I'm down to 1 can of a particular seasonal variety or a special release, I have a habit of hoarding that and putting it in my freezer. Does anybody else do that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have one of every Cardis from 2009 onward, one full tub in my freezer of each one.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good for you. I had all of them from 2005, but it's not much in those cans. But 2009 is the best.
Yes.
That's for
The
sure.
best of anything. Next to Brandy Alexander, second best snus ever made.
Did you guys, when I was totally incommunicado, did we go through Connie's resume for people that may not be familiar with him?
I don't
No.
think so.
We did not.
Okay, maybe Connie, you could tell us about your professional career in tobacco.
My father had a hotel down in Spain when I was young. I'm born and raised in a small island just outside of Stockholm. But my father bought this hotel mid-70s or something. And our neighbor down in Spain was he was actually making cigars and sold them in Malaga. So I was sitting with him and starting to rolling my own cigars. I was just 15 years old or something, and I started rolling my cigars. And I moved back to Stockholm and started working in a restaurant, central Stockholm. And one day we had cigar dinner at the restaurant, and the ambassador from Cuba was down there. And I was speaking Spanish, so I had her, it was a lady, and I had her at the table. And at the end of the dinner, I asked the lady if there was possibility to come down to Cuba and work in the cigar trade down there. 3 months later, I was down in Cuba. I was living there and work at the fields in the factories for a little bit more than a year. Came back to Stockholm, worked in the restaurant, and I know some of the guys at Swedish Match. And when they sold out the cigarettes from the company, they bought the American company General Cigars, this cigar company. And Swedish Match gave me a call and asked me if I want to join them. So I started working with the premium cigars, actually. Back then, I was traveling around quite much in Europe and talked the Swedish Match people about cigars, and I did it for a couple of years, but back then it was just Swedish Match who made snus in Sweden. It was not other companies, but when the other companies came into the market, they asked me if I want to learn about snus. So I went down to Gothenburg to the factory, Swedish Match factory, and stayed there for almost a year and worked for all the apartments, and started traveling and told people about snus, and then some of the guys in Gothenburg and we connected quite good, and some of the brands they came up with some stuff, so I was quite often down in Gothenburg and helped them with new tobacco, and because back then they just work with the same tobacco all the time. And that was one of my reasons why I came down there quite often, because I wanted to bring in some new tobaccos into to the factory. And later on, they asked me if I want to join them to come up with some new blends and stuff like that. So I did. And when we starting to talk about Cardus, it was me and Lars Öberg who was our baby. So Lars and I made the Cardos from the beginning, and every year it was so fun to work and bring. For me, it was. I'm quite fed up with this. How can I tell it in a good way? But I am quite fed up with how you make snus today and work in this big company and make a proper handmade snus, actually, as Cardos is for real. That's not common in a big company. You can see it in beer industry today a little bit. Big companies buy small breweries and try to make craft beer. I think it's good. But working in because Cardos was a work quite often. It's big companies. If you want to make a new brand, you are a group of 30, 40 people from the company, and you don't rule the what in it and what to make it taste in the end. But with Cardos, it was just me and Lars this is what it is. This year, this is Cardos this year. And then the rest of the guys said, okay, we do it. But later on, from Swedish Match, I went to GN, Guyana. I was traveling quite a lot at Swedish Match. I was traveling a little bit more than 200 days a year. I have kids, and I couldn't make it if I want to have my family back home.
Oh yeah.
Georg asked me to join them, and I came up with this whiskey snus for him. We went, and that's the good thing with Georg. If he trusts in you, and he actually let you do what you want to do. That he's a great person in that way, and really, but I had to, after 2 years with the Georg, I had to go the next step, and I started up my own small company. I had a meeting with AG in December, and we come along really well. The old man down there, George, is he been working since he was a kid. He's 67 or 66 or 67 years old. When you start to talk about tobacco with him, he is down. It's like talk with my kids before they open the Christmas presents.
Yeah.
He's such a lovely person. He knows his tobacco back and forward. He actually had the biggest company in the pipe tobacco industry. And it's such a beautiful company down there. We come really along. The products we are going to make will be really good, and it's a little bit. GN and Swedish Match are so far from each other, and now I'm back in a small Swedish Match, in a way. Everything is working, and if they tell you we are going to make this, they will make it. At GN, sometimes they told you we're going to make it, and they didn't.
That's something I've seen from GN a lot over the years. If I could probably name off the top of my head 20 products they said they were going to make, and none of them have happened.
No, but it's another company. GN is fun, but and in a good way. But the other things don't really work. But I still like Georg really much. I really do. But yeah, I don't really,
and then we move on.
yeah.
So after GN and your own company,
Yeah.
that's when you tied up with AG Snus.
Yeah, but I still have my own company. I'm working as I consult them with this. So I'm working. I'm down in Denmark 1 week every month, also, and work in the factory. And I have a lovely person down there, Lars Olesen, who is the factory manager. He's a tobacco person as well, but he knows everything about pipe tobacco, that's for sure. And he knows a lot of snus tobacco as well, but we'll change some of the stuff down there, that's for sure. This another. They know snus pretty much. They do, and the captain. I think captain is quite good for the money, and the tobacco they use. The thing is today, all the companies work with the same tobacco. That's for sure. General, Skruv, all the guys are working with the same tobacco. Swedish Match buy the tobacco first, and the guys from the other companies tell we buy what Swedish Match bought. So all the guys working with the same tobacco, that's for sure.
So it's all the flavorings and what they do with it and how high they heat it and everything else. That's what makes the difference.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's why I'm telling you that I will never make another bergamot snus. General is the best. So why come up with another bergamot snus?
Exactly.
That's stupid.
Yep.
We already had that one. But
what do you think of the Scroof came out with their ecological or organic snus?
Perfect.
Which harkens back to the old General Green Harvest.
Yeah, Green Harvest was a good.
Green Harvest was great.
I think it was one of the best General who ever came out. Okay, now you have General Cardus. but Green Harvest was a lovely project, and it's a great snus, that's for sure. But I have to say I'm really fond of what Screw are doing right now.
Now, have you tasted the new ecologicals versus the international, the old versions? Yeah.
No,
because there's a huge difference in taste.
It taste is not big difference, is it?
Really?
I know.
I'm not sure.
I thought it was a huge difference.
All right, I'm not sure.
But you're the expert.
I'm not sure. I haven't snoozed so much Screw before. I just when starting up with this ecological stuff, I had to try it. I liked it, the new can and everything, and I think it was pretty good.
Yeah, I got used to it, but it really shocked me, especially on the cranberry, the Tran bar.
All right.
It tasted, the flavor profile was completely reversed. The white can was tobacco with the cranberry out front, which I happen to like if I wanted a sweeter snus.
Yeah.
And then the new version, it was tobacco with cranberry in the background, and it took me about 2 cans to get used to it.
But if to make a snus like Screw doing now, it's not so much places where you can buy tobacco. You have Lancaster, you have the down from Argentina and Salta. For a while they stopped doing it in Brazil. I think they're starting up again. And you have some Swedish snus, LA tobacco. So actually you have just 4 places to buy that kind of tobacco from. And to make a blend for 4 is not easy to make it taste like the other one. So I believe it will be some changes in taste profile. That's for sure. Because otherwise they have, in the blend, they will have about 8 or 10 different kind of tobaccos. At least.
Right.
Now they have to go down to 4. It's much more trickier for them to make it taste the same as they did before. That's for sure.
Do you think Swedish Match is ever going to go back to something like that, or in their current mindset, they're just running with the tobacco the way they do now?
If you look at the other industries in food, for example, beer, wine, and everyone, a lot of the big companies have something like that. So I think Swedish Match will do it someday, yes. Most of the companies, small companies, talking about it as well. But back then, here in Sweden, the ecological growing fast. Since 2 years back, this starting growing really good, well in the food industry. But back then was not. There was some hipsters who did the ecological stuff.
Connie, have you tried? There's another one, Osterland Snus.
Which one? Chad?
Osterland Snus.
Yeah. He's a great person.
Enough said.
For sure, Chad. I haven't tried it yet, but that hard work he put in the fields and all over. I make my own cigars in that way.
Mm.
I do, but to make snus in that way, I'm not sure how many different kind of tobacco he has into it. But I think he need some other tobaccos into it to make it really proper. You have tried it, Chad? Yes.
Yeah, he uses the Elita tobacco that Gotland Snus used to use.
Yeah.
I want to ask you an odd question, Connie.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you ever tried this before. It's called Epoch, or whatever it is, and it's white tobacco. Can you? I've never seen an albino tobacco plant. Can you explain what that is?
No. I'm not sure how they do it, but if you wash it, if you make it white, and take away all the colors in the tobacco, you have to take away the flavors into the tobacco as well.
Exactly.
I had tried it. It's not the product for me.
Is it?
No, it's not.
So the flavor is basically all additive, so there's no real tobacco flavor in there?
For me, it's more, it's more a product I go to the pharmacy and buy. It's so far from what I'm into. We were talking about this at Swedish Match as well, to make a snus who get you whiter teeth and everything.
They're doing that now with xylitol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lab 22 and 24, and fluoride.
Yeah, yeah, but no. For me, is I rather go back and work with old traditional tobaccos and old traditional way to make snus. This is okay. Maybe are some people who want to have this. I know for sure they have tough in Sweden. I never ever see anybody who doing this. That's for sure. And I have been talking with quite a lot of the shops, shop owners. They don't sell so much of it. That's for sure.
So I've got a question. You know, obviously being American and using dip and chew products, you know,
Yeah.
this Red Man. But the thing here, Connie, is that tobacco came in second place to a lot of sweetener in these products. Like Red Man is very sweet. And granted, this is actually, Larry, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Swedish Match owns Red Man, don't they?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, you know, it has its place for somebody that likes chew. But when I first started using Swedish Snus, I was attracted to the fruity flavors, some of the sweeter flavors, and then I noticed that my palate changed quite a bit. So, you know, when I first started, I wasn't a fan of bergamot. I wasn't a fan of some of the other flavors that the snus had, and I was attracted to the fruitier ones. But now I find that my tastes are changing, and what I want is more of that tobacco flavor. So, you know, I bought some Epoch, and I tried it, and I have to say I disliked it quite a bit. It did have the flavor of fruit, I'll give it that. You know, the blueberry tasted like blueberries, but I could not detect any tobacco complexities to it, which is something that I crave now, and I think a lot of us crave it. But I want to show you this, because this is a product that we have here in the U.S., and it's manufactured in Hillsborough.
I just reviewed some of that a few weeks back.
Look at these portions, though.
Wow. Is there something in it, or is it paper?
Yeah, it is cellulose powder, sodium carbonate, maltitol sweetener, and S-sulfame K with flavors. But the concentration of this is 1 milligram of nicotine. So I think this would simply make me angry.
A little bit of candy. No.
Too, as an American, you know, we're used to longer cut products.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it's okay to talk about the Melgrins, correct? So this is, and Chad was kind enough to send me one of these. This is Melgrin's IPA edition, and this is one that you formulated for them. And I believe this was batch 1, and I know batch 2 has some serious improvements.
Batch 2, the change that we will do in batch 2, this one has quite small amount of soda into it. Soda is good for you when it comes to the nicotine kick.
Sure.
But what we have tried here is to go down in the soda level, because the soda kill the tobacco flavor.
Yeah.
That's one other thing, but it's a little bit too little soda in it. I know that. And we will change it. Now is some hops in it, American hops, and there's some new flavor haven't been working with before. It's called citrus verbena, I think in English, or something like that.
Okay.
It's a South American herb. I'm really fond of that flavor. But I will add more soda, more of the hops, and a little bit of another flavor is grape into the next one. It would still be a lot of tobacco flavor in it, but more kick, buzz, and a little more flavor.
One of the things that surprised me about it, though, is since it is a lost snus, the cut is much larger. This is more what we would consider a long cut.
It is a cut.
And I really appreciate that because it's something that's been lacking in the Swedish products.
Yeah, I do as well. I like Cardus, the cut in Cardus. I'm really fond of this. This was actually, this is what they sell as a showing product in Europe, or a show snus importation. That's the big difference. If you cut it, you can sell it as a showing product. It's the same product, similar. So what I did, I took some of that product and tried to. I just brought it back home to my hotel room one night, and it was not flavored at all. And I just to start to use it as loose snus, and it was perfect in the cut and everything, and you could make a proper ball of it. So the next day I went back to the factory and asked them if we can start to make a loose snus of this. That was actually the idea from the beginning, and Melgrens had asked me to make a snus for them a little bit more than a year now, and so it was a big whiskey and beer festival in Gothenburg, and we're supposed to have a whiskey snus for that festival, but we couldn't make it. So this actually made this snus by phone. I was sitting in Stockholm and talked to Lars down in Denmark. I told him, you have this kind of tobacco back home. I cut it, put that amount of this flavor into it. I hadn't had a chance to try it before we had it at the fair. So it was actually a quick fix, this batch, for sure. And it's not easy to make it over the phone, I tell you guys. That's for sure. But it turned out to being quite well, I think. But the next batch will be better, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I like the fact that, especially with Swedish Snus, you can do a lot of pairings with beer, and with different beverages and
Whiskey.
Whiskey. Oh yeah, definitely a good combination. But the IPA goes great with beer, and that's one thing that I'm really looking forward to. And somebody in chat asked, "Is it too messy?"
No, not really.
Loss is something where once you learn how to form a Prilla, or if you use an ice tool, it makes it pretty simple to work with. And you will eventually get a little bit of a mudslide, but that's just something you work through. It's definitely not as messy as traditional American snuff products.
No. My problem with loose snus is making a Prilla and getting it in is no problem. But especially if we're watching a movie or something, and I make big Prillas, scooping it out of my upper lip pocket, and then trying not to get all pieces of tobacco on my tongue and have to spit out.
You just eat
kind of
those.
inconvenient. Well, I make big Prillas, Chad. Very big. That's the only thing where I have a problem with it, because I'll do it here in my office, but I have my bathroom next door. I'll go rinse my mouth out afterwards.
Now, Connie, what do you think about portioning tools? Are you totally against those?
No, if you want to use it, use it. But what I like with loose is what I like with loose snus is open up a can and put my finger into the feel the moisture, feel the grain, and feel it, really feel it, touch it.
Yeah.
That's what I like. I don't do during the days when I work. I always use portions, but after the dinner, I use loose.
Yeah.
That's for sure. But during the day, sit in the car and take a ball out. That's not funny, not at all. That's for sure. Okay, if you're snoozing Röda Lacket. Röda Lacket is so easy to make a ball, and it's it's looked the same after an hour if you have it under your lip. But
I use a lot of Prima Fent, and it's like that, very easy to use.
Yeah. No, but that's just I'm lazy. I don't. I like to eat orange, but I don't like to peel them. I hate it. I like the taste of it, but I don't like to work with it. So when I'm back home in the evenings, yes, loaves for me. But during the days, it's portion. That's for sure. But the tools, why not? If you want to use the tools, do it.
I know every video I make where I review loose or talk about loose, every single comment I get from people in Sweden is, "Don't use a tool. Use your fingers like a man."
Yeah, but when that's what actually the thing I want to talk with you guys about, the thing with the guys who are doing snuff or dip and talking about Swedish Snus like is for pussies or whatever. That's a little bit shame. It's sad actually. I think it's better to do the snuff or dip instead of doing fags or cigarettes. And it's a little bit shame that they talk so much rubbish about the Swedish Snus.
Yeah.
But
why is Sweden not fighting harder to get the EU snus ban lifted?
I think Swedish Match did a quite good work down there.
What about the Swedish government?
The Swedish government, no, they will not take it. That's for sure. They're not too strong. We are quite happy that we still can do it here in Sweden. That's for sure. They're coming up with some new rules next year, and we'll see what's happening.
I hope you ignore them, the ones about can labeling and things like that. And you should probably hire Donald Trump to negotiate the treaty again. You have snus all over the EU legally if he dealt with that.
This EU thing is such a rubbish. They can sell this makla or whatever, and they will soon start selling marijuana for legal, and we can't sell the Swedish Snus. It's so stupid. It's such a stupid thing. But right now, quite a lot of the companies are making chewing tobacco and sell to the EU countries. Have you tried them?
I have. AG makes one called Ink. That's really good.
Yeah. And we too do it as well. I think
Thunder Chew.
Our friends from the Gotland are starting making it as well.
Yeah, they're doing Cruiser Chew.
Yeah. And for me, honest, is almost the same product.
Yep.
It is.
But it's legal.
But legal. Yeah.
Yeah, different grind, different verbiage on the cans, but that's pretty much.
No, it's stupid. That's for sure. I'm not sure what also, the Swedish government will not do anything about this. That's for sure.
Yeah. The other thing too that I can touch on this obviously since I'm a consumer. Although, Chad, your last podcast was pretty revelatory because it talked about exactly what they can and cannot talk about when they're discussing a product regarding Swedish Match specifically. But the irony here is you're talking about Makla, which in many cases, and Makla, if you're not familiar with it, is African smokeless tobacco, not necessarily produced in Africa, but the thing with Makla is it's a much less. They're much less careful when it comes to the processing and treatment of the tobacco to ensure that it is a reduced harm product.
Oh, Makla is so. The TSNAs are off the chart.
Yeah.
Those Maklas. Let's be honest. It's a harmful product.
Yeah.
So the irony here is that in the EU, they're allowing this, but yet Swedish Snus is still banned. At least. Yeah. Traditional Swedish Snus.
But it's also a restraint of trade because Sweden is the only country that manufactures the snus effectively, except for the two Denmark companies.
Yeah.
So the entire EU is saying we're not going to let Sweden sell their national product within the EU, and now they're saying come next year we're going to rewrite Swedish domestic law and tell them how they can label their cans and how they can do everything else. And I'm just shocked that the government isn't outraged and the people aren't outraged at the government for just blowing by all this.
Yeah, but the government have been raised the taxes for snus here in Sweden. When I was starting to use snus, a can of snus was half of the cost of a package of cigarettes. Now it's almost the same price, and that's all taxes.
And the sad thing about that is the Swedish government's decided if they raise the taxes on cigarettes too high, then you're going to have all the smuggling and the black market. But since snus is made in Sweden and it's going to get taxed one way or the other, then we can do whatever we want because nobody's going to smuggle snus in.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's a sad thing. I'm quite sure if you started join the guys and start what do you call it in English? Running for election and telling the people that you will lower the taxes on snus, you will win the next election in Sweden.
So why aren't they doing that? I don't think my other beliefs would go over well in Sweden. I'm a little on the more conservative side, and I don't like paying high income tax. No. But it just seems crazy. I mean, the last tax increase, cigarettes were raised 6.5%, and snus was raised 13%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And the public health system, not only in Sweden but the entire world, is so overburdened and smoking related and diseases, and they just make up so much of that. If you eliminate the tobacco or the smoking, the lit tobacco, you're going to save healthcare money too. Yeah. So there's just no logic to it.
No, it's no logic as well. But tobacco is so political incorrect.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
You still have 150 million smokers in the EU, though.
Yeah. Snus can save a lot of lives, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That's the thing, when I offer people portions of Swedish Snus that are trying to quit smoking, they look at it as it's, a moist snuff product here in the U.S.
Yeah.
And it really turns them off.
Yeah.
And it's really sad because it's like, no, this stuff has worked. I mean,
Yeah.
you look at my buddy Josh, which I wish he could have joined today, but he quit smoking using snus, you
Yeah.
know, within 3 days. And he was a
Yeah.
pack-a-day smoker for 5 years.
Yeah.
You gotta give him some America.
Oh. Oh, boy.
Take that one away, my friend.
I did give it a try, Chad, but I'm not a fan.
No.
It's the only thing in my rotation that is sweet. You know, it's usually General or Rapé or licorice,
Yeah.
but it's the only thing I keep in my rotation to do something different every now and then. But
Yeah.
I couldn't do it all the time. I would get sick of it if I used it all the time.
Yeah.
So I've got a question. I have heard that Mo has obviously joined us via chat, but
Yes.
supposedly he is not near a computer, so he couldn't join us via video. So I'm guessing he's on his mobile. Is Mo? What is Mo up to? Larry?
Mo, from what I Mo is on a hunting trip right now, and he's sitting there texting to us on his flip phone because he can't figure out how to use a smartphone. So we're lucky we're getting text from him, even though it's slow, not let alone video or audio.
Connie, Angela says your English is excellent.
I think he had some problem with his headphone set or something. I rather speak Spanish, my friend.
I'm assuming that Mo is also using a ton jacked
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
if he's hunting,
Yes.
that's
Traditionally,
an
well,
assumption.
Mo, Matt put a picture up on our Instagram channel of a bag of his new Maxpedition bag full of snus. Mo usually brings 3 of those with him, covering every brand wherever he goes.
Oh, Connie, I got one I was going to ask you about. I was using this just yesterday. What is your opinion about this one?
Whiskey. The loose one is pretty good. The portion version, I don't really fond of.
That's
That
the
stuff is way
same
too
way I
sweet.
think about it. Yeah.
Can you bring that can again and see how they spell whiskey? There is the American spelling, that's for sure. There's American. It's a bourbon actually, and you can feel it through the sweetness and everything in it.
Real
It's
whiskey is spelled with a Y.
Yeah, they used say 4 roses in that one. It's a lot of flavor, of course, but they have actually all the time a box of 4 roses at the factory in Swedish Match. So in every batch they pour a little bit of 4 roses into it. No, it's a good product, but the loose one is much better.
It is, yeah. The portion version comes out too much sweet, but this one you can taste a lot more tobacco.
Yeah.
I have yet to try Mustang.
Yeah, I haven't tried it
Mustang
yet.
is new.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I will say what I've noticed with Rhoda Lockett is the loose is much better than the portion.
Yeah.
How it is with
and
most-
that's what I've heard. Huh?
That's how it
Chad?
is with most. That's how it is with most snus.
Yeah, but it's like a totally different taste. It's very strange to me how one product can taste one way in loose and then totally different in the other one. Because to me, Rhoda Lockett in portions has a little bit of a bitter drip, and I know a lot of people aren't fans of this, including Matt. But I really like when I want something that's kind of minty. I'm a real big fan of Thunder Frosted Loss. But
I hate
in
Thunder
portion,
Frosted. I hate Thunder Frosted.
You got to be the only person.
in portions, Thunder Frosted has kind of a bitter drip to me, which isn't present in the loose version.
When Thunder Frosted first came out, it was huge because it totally destroyed the Camel Frost flavor. That's why it's called Frosted. And the nicotine, blew it out of the water. And it's still, there's so many mint snoozes out there now, too many in my opinion, but it's still, that and the Ultra, according to most, still do very, very well.
Huh.
Scruff Minta is my favorite still. I love that stuff.
Oh, the Minta, yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's they tout it as 10% mint leaf, and mixed in with the 90% ecological tobacco. I mean that stuff flavor wise is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Have you tried that yet, Connie?
Yeah, but no, I haven't tried it. I'm not a minty guy. But the thing is, that's the industry, how it's working. All the guys have a bergamot. All the guys, if one person come up with a melon for Gotlandssnus and melon working quite well, the rest of the guys will come up with it.
Yeah.
Or the mint stuff. If somebody release a mint and it was doing quite well, all the other guys will have it in a 6-month period.
Yeah.
And they do. There are so many mint snoozes.
Yeah. And we have a lot of brands. We have a lot of snus here right now. But a lot of them are quite similar. They are not so much coming out who is really something new. For me, it's perfect to work with Mellgrens, for example. For Mellgrens, they ask me, can you come up with something new? Yeah, why not? And I thinking during the weekend have a few beers and come up with something. On Monday, they tell me, yeah, why not? We do that. That's perfect for me because that's they are my playing mates for sure. AG, they want products that they really, they want to know that they will sell, that's for sure. And I understand them.
Hey, Connie, somebody just asked you a question. If you ever tried some of the so-called American knockoff snoozes. That's Adam Pohl's, I think I'm pronouncing it right.
Which one?
Have you tried Camel Snus or the old Marlboro Snus?
Camel I tried. I think they have to bring in some Swedes to the company and tell them how to make a proper snus, that's for sure.
They said in their ad that they perfected Swedish Snus.
Yeah, that's the problem. When they came out of the gun, they redefined what snus was supposed to taste like because Americans had no idea. I had no idea. I stumbled on General after I got a coupon for Camel. So everybody started thinking it's supposed to taste sweet. Yeah. And that's why a lot of the mints and the other flavors came out was to chase this mythical American market.
Yeah. Yeah. When Swedish Match were talking about to launch snus at the American market, they were looking for give the smokers a new product, but that didn't turn the way they wanted to. So they're looking for the people who are doing dip.
Well, they tried that with Etan, and that blew it in that 6-month trial of making Etan snuff. Yeah. Which was the same thing as snus.
Yeah. Oh, it's a shame.
I think it was political at Swedish Match, which was why it died.
Yeah.
But it was a great concept.
Yeah.
Connie, what was the last product you worked on before you left Swedish Match?
For me?
Yeah. What was the last product you did at Swedish Match?
I was working with the Cardus, the last one.
2012.
Sorry?
2012?
Yeah. It was the last thing I did for them. I think it was a little bit sad that they didn't launch a product the year after. But there was a lot of people who worked with it for Niklas Trieb and some of the other guys, yeah, who left the company in the same period.
Did you try the General Cartouche that came out last year?
Yeah, I did.
What did you think?
The tobacco they use is tobacco they use normally in the production.
Okay, the General.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have it in the storage of tobacco. They use it in other products. They didn't travel around and look for some new stuff. They just pick one in what they have stored. Swedish Match have about a little bit more than 100 different kind of tobaccos in the storage, and of them is 30 we really taste something really good. The rest of the 70 is for the chemistry.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So you pick one of the 30 you have back home and make a cartouche. But yeah, that's the way it is. And the rest of the guys have it as well. But the cartouche is what we did in New York. We tried different kind of tobaccos. We made snus from one type of tobaccos. And I think what they have done in the cigar industry, they had told the people what kind of tobacco they use in the products, in the cigars. The American guys are they really know about the cigars, what kind of tobacco in it, with it, and all this stuff. But in the cigar industry, it's tricky to make a proper blend. And they don't tell how much they use in the different, but they still tell the people. And we have done, the snus industry have been so bad in this. So I think we have to take some of what they have done in the cigar business and tell people what kind of tobacco you use and tell them how to grow that kind of tobacco. What is the flavor in that typical tobacco? And really teach the people about it. Everything tastes much better when you know about the product. Everything. You want to know what you put in your mouth.
Yeah, it's all education.
We got a question from the chat that says,
I was going to bring it up.
Panel, what could Swedish Match or other Swedish companies do to make snus more popular in America?
Well, I think the first big thing is for the General MRTP application to go through so we can get rid of either some or all of those warning labels that are just flat-out lies. I mean, if you're a smoker and you really don't know anything about snus and you pick up a can and it says it causes cancer and your ears are going to fall off and you're going to choke to death, then you're not really, I can do that with cigarettes. Why go through the hassle? I think if that happens, and that we should have an answer on that by the end of this month, early October at the latest, a final decision. So that, I think, will give Swedish Match North America a lot of capital to be able to differentiate their product in the marketplace.
Yeah, but sorry, Mike. But it's growing in the States, isn't it? But not that fast.
Well, it is. Yeah. The reason basically is when you look at Norway and the consumption of snus in Norway, the Swedish companies looked at the United States like in Norway. It's one country. And really, we're 50 countries.
Yeah, I know.
And the Swedish Match or anyone else, except maybe a Reynolds, just didn't have the resources to blanket the entire United States. No. And what they're doing now is, I know we're still high single digits overall in the U.S., But in the markets that Swedish Match is strong in and competes directly against Camel, they've got a 39% share now, General, which is a huge jump up from a couple of years ago. So if they keep focused on individual markets and expand out those, eventually it's going to happen. But it's not just like right now Norway and the entire United States total consumption, including, I'm getting this from Mo, including Camel Snus, is around the same as what Norway consumes in a year.
Yeah.
So it's 47 million cans.
Yeah.
I see a question in chat too, or a statement here from James Poss. He talks about also more flavors, strengths from Swedish Match in the USA, regardless of the market share. And Chad, you talked to...
Yeah, we actually, I spoke with Joe Ackerman from Swedish Match in our latest podcast, and he said basically the same thing that we've been saying for years, is that, until the market share grows, we shouldn't expect any new flavors in the U.S., and I don't think that's going to change for at least several years.
Now, and the other thing that
what did he have to say about that? He said it was 3 years, correct?
No,
from submission, because of bureaucracy, it was 3 years.
The substantial equivalency, which Larry can probably speak a little more on.
Yeah, basically, there's a difference. In fact, Reynolds just got shot down on 4 cigarette products this past week by FDA. The Crush, the Bowl, the Pall Mall, and I forget the other one, because they said they were not substantially equivalent to their current cigarettes. They are new products, and getting a new product approved is, you think the MRTP thing was long. This is it's very hard. And when you talk about not even the flavors, but increasing the nicotine content, and what a dirty word that is politically in the U.S., it would be a huge struggle, and it's going to take a long time for you to be able to walk into your 7-Eleven and buy a can of Strong or Extra Strong.
Look, unequivocally, we know that nicotine in and of itself, when you separate it from combustible products, is not the thing that is loaded with carcinogens and cancer-causing.
Right.
It's a stimulant. It's in the same family as theobromine from chocolate, caffeine. Those are all stimulants in the same family, and yet nicotine is vilified. The reason for that, because it's intrinsically linked to combustible cigarettes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't type scenario, and that's why it's an uphill battle. But, at the very least, if this MRTP finding is favorable, we can get rid of some of these labels. Like, I'm looking at this can, which I received from SnusCENTRAL, and according to, it's FDA compliant. It has a top label and a side label, but this side label says this product is not a safe alternative to cigarettes. And the top label says this product can cause tooth and gum disease, and then this one says this product can cause mouth cancer. So as a smoker, you walk into a shop and you're looking for an alternative to cigarettes. What is going to make you even consider another product?
Right.
They're not allowed to advertise the fact that it truly is a, reduced harm alternative to smoking. They can't say that. As consumers, we can say that,
right?
But as a company, as an entity, they cannot. And that's one of those things where how are we going to gain more market share? How are they going to get a foothold to where they can offer new products? It's got to be an organic movement. It's got to be consumers saying, hey, look, this changed things for me. This changed my life in a way. That's the only way it can take place. In
a lot of ways, that's been since I started in 2007. Chad, you came in around 2009. It's been a one-to-one. It's people, preaching, and then somebody that discovers snus telling their friend who's a smoker. It's a slower process, but it's like that old shampoo. You tell someone, and they tell someone, and they tell someone, and pretty soon everybody's using it. The MRTP filing will help a lot if it goes our way.
Yeah. And it may not seem like, because, you may not hear a lot of word of mouth or stuff like that, but I know if I compare my website traffic now to 2 or 3 years ago, it's much higher. So there's a lot of people out there looking for information, a lot more than there used to be.
And now we just got to get him snoozing.
Yeah.
That's Mo's job.
But it is, if EU let Sweden to sell snus out in Europe, it will not sell. Some countries, yes, who Swedes traveling a lot to. So, for example, Spain, you have to starting up in the tourist. Swedes are traveling. That's the way it is. You have to have ambassadors all over, restaurant people, because if you have been doing cigarettes since you were 10 and today you're 50, or 15, you're starting up when you're 15 smoking, and you're 50, it's not that easy to, and it's a new product. Here in Sweden, everybody know about snus. You know the smell of it and everything.
Yep.
You're so used with it. But this is a new product, and the product you have in the States are similar. Snuff and dip. They're so similar. And it's a little bit tricky for a new person to come into this, and because I think a lot of American snus as a dip or a snuff, they can't see the difference actually.
Right.
It's back to
Not-
education.
Yeah.
It's education, and that will take time.
Yeah.
It's tricky for a small company to go to the States first of all, FDA, and the second thing is that it will take so long time. So I think Camel and Swedish Match, they will fight for a couple of more years before some other people are trying to starting up there. Russia, for example, is much easier. They don't have FDA, first of all.
I know GN is really popular in Russia.
All their production's going to Russia.
Yeah.
For sure. And they want more of it.
Yeah.
And the guys who are selling the product over there, they're doing a good work, that's for sure. I think we too are using the same guys right now, and they do a great work over there. I know some of the Swedish Match people were over in Russia.
Yep.
And they were not happy at all, what Odens and GN have done over there, because they are the second player in the snus, and a small company as GN are a bigger player in Russia than Swedish Match.
Yeah, and their factories are running right now 24/7 around the clock, and they're building out more, and they can't keep up demand. A couple of weeks ago, Mo told me that we were on SnusCENTRAL.com, had a 3,000 roll back order with GNT because they just couldn't make enough of it.
No, they can't make it. That's for sure. They doing a really good work in Russia. That's for sure. And the products are getting better and better. That's for sure.
Yes.
And today,
something you mentioned earlier, Connie, when you hear people say that snus is for pussies or it's relatively weak, I think that's also been kind of I'm trying to look for the word here. It's been a barrier for entry because traditional American moist snuff users, they see videos by Outlaw and people on the internet, and they're taking half a can of Copenhagen and they're chewing it, and then they get this massive nick hit and head rush. And I personally experienced this because I talked to somebody who was a habitual moist snuff user, American moist snuff user, and he said, I've tried the general stuff before, it just doesn't give me any kind of buzz. And I had a can, I was out drinking at a bar, and I had a can of Siberia, and I said, go ahead and put one of these in, and then check back with me in 10 minutes. And sure enough, he's like, okay, where can I order this? So, another barrier to entry is the fact that, you know, your traditional products that are on the lineup in the U.S. are what, Chad? They're 8 milligrams?
8 milligrams. But the thing about that
Yeah,
is
8
that,
milligrams.
you know, back when I first started, we called it the Thunder Frosted Syndrome, because everybody who was new to snus would automatically gravitate towards something mint, and they'd gravitate towards whatever the strongest thing available was. And I was the same way. But this is almost relatively across the board. You see this happen with almost everybody who snoozes, is that they'll do that for a little while, it'll be a phase, and then they'll settle on General or something like the rest of us did.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's a little bit same in Norway as well. The taxes are so ridiculous high in Norway for all the funny stuff, tobacco, liquor. In Norway, they even higher the alcohol level in some wines, because people went to the shop, they were looking at the price and the level of alcohol, so they could get so much kick of the bucks as possible. And they look a little bit the same today. In Norway, it's quite often you meet a young girl in the 20s, and she doing extra strong. Here in Sweden, you never meet a extra strong. Maybe up north in a small village, I don't know, but in Norway it's so common.
And that's the wonderful thing about Norway. We can thank Norway for the strongs, extra strongs, and extreme strongs, because otherwise, I mean, 7 years ago, Onyx at 12 milligrams was the strongest thing out there, and it wasn't even advertised as a strong.
Yeah. Well, what do you think is a good nicotine level?
12 milligrams seems to be about the sweet spot.
Yeah,
I agree.
I like variety. I'll fluctuate between regular strength, and then when I get up in the morning, it's Siberia.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm doing a Thunder Gold.
Well, they recently changed. They recently changed. You know, G3 was developed as a Norway product, and I came over from General Long whenever it was discontinued, and it was 8 milligram product. And they recently said that, you know, people in Norway wanted more nicotine, so they raised it up to 11 to 12 milligrams. And I transitioned to it just fine, and I found that I don't use as much snus, but I'm not, you know, walking around getting a head rush or anything from it. So I mean, I found that level of nicotine seems pretty adequate.
Yeah.
And every American nicotine addict, thank you, Norway.
Yeah. we got a question for James. Do you think the absolute explosion of e-cigarettes here would take all the market share for harm reduction, or is there no room for snus and e-cigs?
Oh.
Well, coming from somebody, so to give people a background, I've been vaping for about, I think it's like 4.5 years now, so for a while. And before that, I used combustible cigarettes, and I also smoked pipe. And the difference for me was, with recent legislation, they are now banning vaping anywhere that smoking is currently banned, which means one of the large advantages that people touted for electronic cigarettes was the ability to use it wherever you are. Well, now you can't do that. So my experience with Swedish Snus, the first time was at a training conference, a week-long training conference, and they did not allow you to use electronic cigarettes in the building. And somebody handed me a can of General Mint. And I ended up using that entire can, and I didn't give it a second thought until years later. And then I had to travel on the plane to California, and I found a can at a Speedway. And I believe it was past the due date, and that's something I want to get into a little bit later on here. But I picked that up, and I used it, and I was very satisfied by it. And then I explored SnusCentral's blog, because they have information on SnusCENTRAL.org. They have information about harm reduction. And I don't consider myself an advocate for vaping as much as I consider myself an advocate for tobacco harm reduction.
Yeah.
And when I found this product was pasteurized, and I realized the process that it had gone through and the integrity of the manufacturers and the craftsmen who are working with it, and they're looking for a clean product to start with, and that's key. when you consider that a lot of the American moist snuff products, they don't have the same regard for that. Let's face it, we live in a world where our groundwater is saturated with heavy metals and runoff and things like that, which affect the integrity of that end product. So when I found an alternative that had a superior quality to it, I took to it quite rapidly. So the end answer here is I think that there is room for both markets to coexist and possibly benefit from each other. And just to kind of quell some people's concerns, I don't think dual use should be something that vilifies you. And I know a lot of people like to look at someone who smokes combustible cigarettes and uses an e-cigarette or uses snus and say, well, you know, that's wrong. Look, if they're smoking fewer combustible cigarettes, they're adding days, possibly years, onto their lives. So who are we to judge? That's the way I look at it. And eventually, most of those people, the ones that I know personally, have quit combustible cigarettes altogether because snus has such a constant and continuous delivery of nicotine. You know, it's much more satisfying in the long run, and it's much more convenient also, especially with portions. So that's pretty much my viewpoint on it.
That whole dual user thing was a big deal. I remember especially whenever that 60 Minutes thing came out, because they had that guy who was extremely nicotine addicted, and he was smoking and snoozing while he was brushing his teeth and all that. And you know, I use snus and nasal snuff, and both are 98% safer than smoking. So I don't really see an issue with using two products if they're both a lot safer for you than cigarettes are. But if you're smoking and using snus, then obviously there's a problem. But vaping and snoozing, or snoozing and using nasal snuff, I don't really see an issue with.
Yeah.
I remember, I came from pipes and cigars, then to vaping since 2008, when the 901s were out, and then from there, got into all those mods and stuff like that. Then I found snus. I remember the first time I popped a snus and I was driving home, and I gotta say that was probably one of the best and worst experiences of my life, because I almost blacked out at the wheel. It was so much nicotine so fast, and I was not used to that. So, but the flavor was spot on. It was definitely something I was looking for. So,
Angela Siegfried makes a good point in chat too. She says, "I like snus, but I miss having something to do with my hands." And there is that subset of people who still have that hand-to-mouth habit, which e-cigarettes offer a valuable alternative to combustible cigarettes when it comes to that. So what do I grab when I go out? So I'm going out for a night on the town. I usually grab 1 can of snus, and I grab this, which this is the first cig-alike that I have found that is satisfying. This is a Juul, and it's 59 milligrams per gram of nicotine. So I simply take 5 or 6 puffs on this as I'm out at the bar or something, and I'm good to go. And I have my snus, so this satisfies my hand habit. This satisfies my nicotine.
Yeah.
And it works perfectly. And I have no urge to go back to analog cigarettes.
Yeah, your habit will adjust as well. I mean, it's, for some people it is hard to get over the hand to mouth, but again, like my buddy Josh, what he told me is that it will adjust. So
yeah.
Okay.
I did want to bring up one other thing too, if I can. And Larry, I kind of wanted to talk to you about this specifically because I want to get your take on it. I've traveled over the course of the last couple of years. I've traveled to a lot of different states for vaping conventions and business-to-business trade shows, things like that. And one thing I've noticed, because I'll pop into a gas station or a place that sells snus, and I'll always check expirations dates. I'll check to make sure that the refrigerators are plugged in, things like that. And one of the things that I've noticed, at least in the U.S., when you're talking, when I buy from SnusCENTRAL, I know that you guys are checking dates. You're making sure that the product is fresh and it's stored in cold storage there. But in the U.S., and this comes down to the point-of-sale training, a lot of times I'll walk into a gas station and either the chiller won't be plugged in, or the cashier won't even know where it's located, or the snus will be out of date. And I think that's kind of another barrier here for Swedish Match in North America. And I'm wondering if you've heard from them at all, or if you've talked to them about this, because it doesn't seem to be getting better, at least in my area in Indiana. There's quite a few chillers that are either unplugged, not used anymore, or product that's out of date.
Well, a lot of that, and if you report that to Swedish Match, they act pretty quickly to get somebody out there. I can send you an email address of somebody to speak to. But there are two factors to that. There's the main one is the C-store owners. They are on such thin margins with their operational costs that plugging in a chiller, that raises their electrical bill in their eye. So they're looking to cut costs everywhere they can. And when Camel decided that they were going to abandon chillers because it cost them too much money and nobody really knew that you were supposed to chill snus, then they're saying, why do I have the General one plugged in? On Swedish Match's part, the follow-up with the individual stores, especially C stores more than tobacco stores, they don't have the people to do it. And what happens is a store will sign up for General Snus, and one day UPS will show up with a box with a stock cooler and no instructions, no call this number. And a lot of times when you come in and you ask, oh yeah, we got this box in the back from General Snus. There needs to be more focus in the front, and they know that. But with the staff, the people that go around now are basically checking for that. They're checking that the chillers are plugged in, that they've got the placement. Placement is also another thing. Those chillers are large. They made them smaller, but shelf space is expensive. And the big, cigarette and moist snuff people, they can demand certain areas of premium shelf space, and they're going to get it because nobody wants to get cut off from Camel or Marlboro cigarettes. And that's basically the alternative they're given. So from what I've heard generally, the out of the expired snus incidents that I'm hearing of, and I think, Chad, you can back me up on this a little bit, they're getting to be less. And especially in the areas where it's popular because the inventory turnover is there. Swedish Match is focusing more on their follow-up, but there's still too many stores where it just sits in that box, nobody plugs it in, it's bad, and then the consumer is getting a horrible first-time experience because it's dried out old snus.
I can tell you, in my location, I check with all the stores around me, almost like I work for Swedish Match, and I have to fill them in on a lot of stuff, and again, a lot of these people think it's American dip product.
Yeah.
I'm saying, no, you got to keep it plugged in, and you got to make sure it's cold, check the expiration dates, all that kind of stuff. So,
the other thing is, Matt, you got to remember that these guys behind the counter at the Speedway and everything else, they are trained to move that line as quickly as possible and sell as many add-ons, burgers, disgusting hot dogs, whatever they can, and then move it along so their people aren't jammed up in line. And they can't take the time to sit there and explain what snus is, how it is. That's what the point of sale stuff has to do that Swedish Match provides, and that's tough under the current legal system. So again, the MRTP thing, I think they're ready for that if that comes through. They'll be able to come up with new door hangers and signage and everything else that can boost that for the product. But these guys, they're working minimum wage or $1 or $2 over, and they're beat over the head if a line's more than 4 people deep.
And
Tobacco stores are a little different generally.
I can say, because I travel an awful lot, and one of my favorite things to do when I travel is to go to different stores that sell General, and just try to see what they have in stock, speak to the retailers and stuff like that. And it's not a very common occurrence, but every now and then I'll encounter a retailer or a clerk who's trained and actually is very knowledgeable about the product. And I always walk in and I ask them, what can you tell me about that down there in that cooler? And 9 times out of 10 they say, oh, it's some kind of dip product. But every now and then I'll get somebody who will tell me, oh, it's a different type of smokeless tobacco product, but it's safer than dip and it's made differently. So every now and then you meet somebody who's informed about the product they're selling. So it does happen, but it's not very common.
What else haven't we touched on?
Well, make an announcement here, I guess. I'm actually going to be starting a podcast here at SnusCENTRAL.
Woohoo!
So I know some people were waiting for that, so it's finally happening. First episode, I want to say it's going to be up in about 3 or 4 weeks. So I'm still working on it, getting the bugs out of it, and it should be up pretty soon.
Fantastic news, Matt.
Mm-hmm. We're going to have my buddy Josh come on. I know a lot of people in the comment section have been asking about him, and so for you guys who've been wondering, he's definitely going to be on as a co-host with me. Of course, I'll have Larry Waters, James Martin on here, Chad, and hopefully Connie in the future. So
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on.
Connie, what time is it there for you now?
2:45. 2:45.
Connie, we've stayed out later than this before. This isn't nothing.
2:45. No, that's fine. It's actually my best hours. I have always a small book beside my bed. All the good ideas coming up in this hours, that's for sure. So you need to have a book beside you. Write
Yeah,
it
right.
down.
Well, you need to be drinking more as we talk.
No. No, I had one bottle of beer. That's fine with me. I have to work tomorrow.
what about a snus that is like a triple Maduro flavored? Have you thought about doing something like that, Connie?
Once again, I didn't hear you.
Oh, have you thought about doing a snus that's like a triple Maduro cigar?
Yeah. I Maduro is actually one of my favorites tobacco, especially the ones from Mexico. I had actually I made for Swedish Match I made a quite proper snus with Maduro tobacco. With actually we because I brought the tobacco from Mexico and I wanted to use liquor from Mexico, of course. But tequila is a little bit it's working quite good. But I want to make I have some good Maduro here, and I'm playing with it. I tell you that.
Okay.
I just love the flavor of Maduro wrapper.
What do you think about the Cuban snoozes?
Which one?
What's the new one? Byron?
Mm. Let me ask you a question, Connie, that may help a little bit. I'm under the impression that Cuban tobacco, while phenomenal for cigars, is not very good for snus, and that Taboca and the people that have made them have used maybe 5% as a seasoning. Is that true?
If you the first of all is the fermentation process. You take away a little bit too much of the nicotine. So you can't really work just with cigar tobacco. You can't. But you can have it when you make a pipe tobacco, for example. You use Burley tobacco or Virginia tobacco. That's the main player. But you quite often use Latakia, for example, or Perique or something like that, but you just add a few percent of that, just to give the blend a kick. And in that way, if you work in that way, cigar tobacco can be really good, and it make it more bolder and get much more flavor. Because when you put the tobacco in a fermentation process, it gives you so much taste to the tobacco, but you lose a lot of nicotine. So use some of that kind of tobacco is good for the snus product, I think. But not use it just cigar tobacco. No, you can't do it. The TSNA is much higher in that kind of tobacco.
Our friend Adam has joined us. Hello, Adam.
Hi, Adam.
Yeah, my understanding is Adam can't hear us.
All right.
And we can't hear him.
I can hear him.
Okay.
But we can see him.
Okay. Matt says he can hear you. Chad says he can't.
I can't hear him. Oh, there he is. Oh, turn off the... I think he's doing the same thing I am. Turn off the YouTube and just go to Hangouts. Adam, if you have the YouTube up, you're 30-second delay.
I don't think he can hear any of you, so I guess this won't work. I tried to bring him in, but I know you guys can hear him, but he can't hear the Hangout, so
all right.
I guess this isn't going to work. I thought I'd try.
Yeah, I've been sitting here quiet trying to plug away getting them in here. It's been difficult.
Which it's very unfortunate because Adam has a killer accent.
Well, beyond that, he's an avid snoozer and travels to Sweden also to buy it. He does not order it illegally, of course, in the EU. He's written a lot for SnusCENTRAL in the past. He has his own column there. He's what we Americans would call a lawyer by trade, but he's also a huge traveler. I think Spain was the last place he was at, yep. And he does wonderful travelogues from there, bringing snus into the subject. So he's a fascinating guy to talk to. He lives in North Wales, originally from London, and yes, Chad, he has a very interesting and charming accent. All the women love him.
And he can't buy Butterfinger there. So we recently did a trade, and I got some good European licorice from him, and I sent him Butterfingers.
You guys need to tell me if this is going to feed back into the audio stream or if we're okay, because I'm going to try something here. Am I feeding back now?
Yeah, he's a fascinating guy.
Yes.
In Wales.
I'm feeding back?
Yes.
Okay, I'll turn it off then. That's fine. All right, so I guess we can't get Adam in here. Sorry, Adam. All right.
I have this is an interesting question, and this kind of makes sense. But someone asked, why does it cost $25 to ship a single portioning tool in an order without tobacco?
That is a good question. I guess Mo could answer that. It's probably because everything, with the volume running through, everything automatically to the U.S. Is coded to go UPS.
That makes sense.
So they can't just, pull the package and do it postal, Swedish Post. It would slow the line way down too much. Or they could make a mistake and snus could go U.S. Postal, which would be pretty ugly for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I would suggest if you're going to buy a portioning tool, buy some snus with it, and then you get your money's worth. Plus, you need something to practice with the portioning tool on. If that was from SnusCENTRAL, I apologize for Mo for that. They didn't specify what store.
Yeah, I don't think so. Well, I just want to say, if it hasn't been said yet, I want to thank Connie for joining us today because I've got a lot of respect for Connie, and as long as I've been using Swedish Snus, he's one of the people in this business that I respect the most. So I'd keep up the good work.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah,
yes.
Thank you, Connie, for joining us.
Yeah.
And you look like you're going to pass out. Maybe you should go to bed.
Oh, looking forward to meet you someday. That's for sure. I hope that my new products will start selling and I earn some money, and so we can do something good together soon again.
Have you been back over to the U.S. in a while?
I will. I will have a meeting with a cigar company. Actually, they asked me if I want to make their snus with a proper cigar snus.
Well, hopefully it's better than that chest cigar snus that came out a few years back.
But it could be an interesting project because a lot of the American guys who smoked quite a lot of cigars every day, they can't smoke so much cigars today, but they still want to have the nicotine and they still want to have the taste of a proper cigar. So I think you can make a proper. I know that you can make a proper cigar snus. That's for sure.
If anybody can do it, Connie, you can. And we missed each other on my past couple of trips, but Lisa and I are coming to Sweden again beginning of next year when it gets a little warmer.
Yeah.
So we will hook up.
Yeah. Are you going to meet? Which company are you going to?
I'm going to go collect my what Mo owes me for his bar tab at Leacherping. And at this point, that's the focus, and then I may tie it into a company, but I'm not planning on it at this point. I mean, I would love to visit you guys. We're going to go to Denmark too, so it'd be great to stop by AG and see their operation.
Yeah, you're more than welcome.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome. Because I have been talking to the guys at AG about this as well. So
good.
We'll see. Yeah.
That would be great.
It's not the same money as Swedish Match have, of course.
No.
No, it's not. We had some great time in New York.
We did. Oh.
Those that remember it, Chad.
Yeah.
Oh.
Chad.
So many great stories.
No.
No, what happened in New York stays in New York, and Vegas, and Chicago, and Washington.
Yep.
Yeah. No, and it was great to have you over here. And
I do miss Sweden. I would love to go back again. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah. But Denmark is not too bad either.
No,
I would like to see Denmark.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I flew through there to Sweden, but I didn't get to see very much.
Oh.
We spent a week there for Lisa's birthday, and we met with 2 people. I'm friends with Patrick, so it was nice.
Denmark is beautiful. It is. And a little bit more easygoing down in Denmark than here. That's for sure.
Yes, it is. Well, they're the happiest people in the world.
They are.
Okay.
Speaking of Denmark,
oh, go ahead.
I've got a real quick question for Connie.
Yeah.
So I've got some Escudo Navy Deluxe here, and this is manufactured by Scandinavian Tobacco Group. And this is a blend of Virginia and Perique, so it's a vapor.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about, I don't even know whether Perique would lend itself to a snus.
Perique is...
Yeah.
Perique is one of my favorite. But when I make my own pipe tobaccos, I use Perique quite often. Perique, you have mentioned Maduro. I have actually some. I'm not sure if you see here. You can't see what it's. It's Latakia.
Okay.
And the smell of Latakia is beautiful. The TSNA is not beautiful, but the taste of it is excellent. So in my new product, we will use some of the Latakia. That's for sure.
Nice.
There's even smell the tobacco through the jar. It's unbelievable. But when I was thinking of it before I even tried it in the laboratory, I was thinking to just use 3%. And we were sending that product to the lab to take all the tests on TSNA and all the other stuff. And when it came back, it was blinking, warning, warning, warning. Like, I couldn't even use 3%. But I have some in it. I wanted to use more, but I can't. Pyrrhic, of course, it will come. That's for sure. I love Pyrrhic.
Me too. That's the best news I've heard all night.
Yeah. Beside snus, I'm still smoking cigars and doing my pipes. Not so often anymore. When I worked with the cigars, I had 2 or 3 every day. Cigars, and I light up the pipe when I came back home. And during the time, I had always snus under my lip. But today, I smoke 1 or 2 cigars every week. Light up the pipe in the weekends. But I miss some of the taste from these kind of tobaccos. Therefore, I want to blend it into the snus.
That would be fun.
That's the reason I asked, because I miss Pyrrhic particularly.
Yeah.
So the news that there might be a product on the horizon. Yeah.
And you have some other tobaccos in the States as they use in the snuff. Actually, is really beautiful tobacco. It's not really good tobacco for snus. But as I told you before, use a few % into the product. Excellent. It was high up the taste of real tobacco.
I got a question for Connie that somebody messaged me. They were asking, with you leaving GN Tobacco, was there some kind of agreement about Isla Whiskey Snus and how it was produced? Because I love the product and I don't want to continue using it if anything's changed from your original recipe.
They will still produce it. They will. But hopefully it will take my name off it.
It's your recipe that they're still going to use, I think was the general idea.
No, they will use it. I hope they will still make it and sell it. It's a good product. And I hope that they don't change the product too much. It's a good product, and they sell quite good with quite a lot of cans, and they make money on it.
Yeah.
Because here in Sweden, Odens is, I think, a can of Odens cost about a little bit more than $2 a can.
Wow.
Isla cost about how much? $7 or $8 a can. So they make a lot. They make good money on it. So they would still sell it. That's for sure.
Awesome.
So, got a question for you too. You used Balmore 12 in that Isla whiskey, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
why it's so good.
Balmore, and why I did it. The story behind it actually is that I was supposed to go for a whiskey fair. Mm-hmm. And I supposed to have my cigar, Swedish Match cigars, in the stand. And in the same period, Swedish Match, North Europe, Swedish Match sold the product, the cigar business, to Scandinavian Tobacco. So I had no cigars to come to the fair, and I gave the man a call who was running it, and I told him, sorry guys, I haven't got any cigars to come with, but you have the stand, Connie. So you can come with snus. I was thinking, fucking a weekend in a fair with just General and Ettan, that's boring. So I gave the guys in Gothenburg a call. So I had actually 20 kilo of Ettan loose without any smoke flavor at all. So it was clean. And I gave a friend of mine who worked for Bowmore here in Sweden a call. So I had 2 cases of Bowmore. So I was standing here in my kitchen and blended Ettan loose and pour directly into the snus. And I was selling like hell on this fair with this product.
Wow.
And I blend 10 kilo back home. And my wife was wake up in midnight and told me, you can't do this. The taste smells like shit here. So I brought the rest of it, and this fair was on a boat. You know, the small rooms in a boat.
Yeah.
So I had actually my blender with me on the boat, and the rest of the whiskey and everything. I was blending it. So it was like this with snus on the floor when I left on the Sunday morning. But it was good fun, and I went back to Swedish Match to the guys there and told them we have to come up with a product like this. No, we already have a proper whiskey snus probe. But I told them, but this is not the proper one. You need, the Swedish people want Scotch whiskey into the product. So they told me no, and therefore I went to GN actually. And Georg told me, yeah, come over, do whatever you want to do. The factory is there. Make a good product for me. So that's the story actually. So, but that product I did here with Ettan and just liquor with whiskey is, if you want to make a whiskey snus for yourself, a few cans or 10 cans, you can make it like that. But if you just pour in whiskey into the snus, the taste of whiskey will disappear in a week or so, because it will not stay. You need a proper flavor as well. Otherwise, it doesn't work. But it was.
I noticed that whenever I had a bottle of the General Scotch, and I mixed it with a bunch of Prima Fint, and the flavor was great for a while, and then it kind of faded out after a few weeks.
Yeah, it's fading away. It takes a week or so, and it's gone. Therefore, you need a proper flavor into it as well. But whiskey is not the easiest flavor to combine with tobacco flavor actually. Rum, as we were talking about before, is much easier because they really it's a really marriage.
Yeah.
Whiskey and tobacco are a little bit like this, so it's a little bit trickier.
Now, what about like Ardbeg with a snus?
Yeah.
Can you give it that smoky, peaty character? Have you
Yeah.
No?
The smoke. We talk about General. This smoky oak was a really good idea. I really like it, but the problem with that product, I think, is that they put some bergamot into it as well. If they didn't have put the bergamot into it, have been much better.
Yeah.
For me, because the bergamot and the smoky flavor was not really combining at all.
Mm-hmm.
That's a shame, because the smokiness they found was really good. The flavor, I haven't found that one. I'm looking for it because it was a great one.
It's been discontinued.
Quite often when you're looking for smoky flavors from the flavor producers. They coming up with something like bacon. And okay, you can make a bacon snus one day, but I'm not sure. But that's quite common. It's not so much smoky flavor out there who smells like Latakia, for example, or so that's quite tricky. So therefore, I rather use smoky tobacco, a little bit amount of it, to get these smoky flavors. Or smoky. That's what the name of. You understand me? Like Ardbeg.
Yeah.
It smells like an old wooden boat. Yeah, and it's excellent flavor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, James. I think you're getting cajoled there.
I am. My wife knocked on the door. I think dinner's ready.
Okay.
But before I go, Angela and chat, you talked me into it, so I did open yet another can. And first impressions are, I kind of like this. Chad, it's peppermint, right? It's not spearmint?
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, like, when I saw xylitol on there, I thought immediately, okay, this is going to be cloyingly sweet. But it's really not. It seems like a very fresh taste. The sweetness doesn't seem overwhelming to me. I'll see how it progresses. But thanks, everybody, for having me on the broadcast. And Connie, it was a pleasure to talk to you in person. And I'm looking forward to the products that you're coming out with next.
Yeah. Take care, my friend. I will send you over some stuff soon.
Excellent.
We will not say no.
We will launch it mid-October here in Sweden.
Okay.
So before that, so end of this month, you will have something, a nice package from Denmark.
All right.
Very good.
I
Thank you.
Before I go, I see a question from Adam. Adam, this is my answer. He says, final question for the panel. You have to use one snus for the rest of your life. What do you choose? My answer is, I haven't tried them all yet. So I can't choose.
I
So
would
I
have to.
reserve the right to answer that later.
I would have to stick, with a Scriff Original. I'd never get tired of this stuff. It's good. I mean, tastes change, but I'd say Scriff Original for now.
I would say for me, General Original. If I had to pick one, which I really wouldn't want to do, would like to pick three, but if it was one, I would have to say General Original.
If I had to pick one, I couldn't pick, like a General Long or a variant or something like that because they're here and gone and discontinued all the time. So if I had to pick one that I knew was going to stay around that I could always use, it would probably be General Original.
I'm so glad it wasn't Americana.
It's so good. It smells so good. Smells like... We have a
right.
question.
Good night, everybody. I'm leaving.
All right,
Yeah,
good night, James.
Take care.
See you.
Bye-bye.
There's a question for Connie. Someone asked, do you know why GN and V2 tobacco products are hard to find in Småland?
In Småland? Oh, small organizations. And both of them are small organizations. Right now, GN doesn't have so many sales reps in Sweden at all. And I think it's a little bit the same problem for V2. Therefore, they don't manage to. It's not a big country, but it's long and thin. So it's a little bit tricky to be all over for them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. That'll just about wrap it up. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight in the first live chat. Pretty sure we're going to have more of these in the future. And thank you to Chad Jones, James Martin, Connie Anderson, and Larry Waters for joining us. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Until next time, enjoy good snus. We'll see you later. Have a good night, guys.
Take care. Good night. We're not.
All right.
We're still live.
Yep.